Your mind is infected. Your mind has parasites. And those parasites are created by your ego, which does not have your best interest at heart. Those parasites are thoughts. Now, don't get me wrong. Thoughts are important because they are the things that allow us to have ideas. And those ideas will in turn change our life for the better or for worse. But the problem is we have way too many thoughts in our head. And oftentimes those thoughts are negative thoughts, meaning that they do not make us a better person, but they make us see the world through doom and gloom, if you will. They make us think that we are a victim of our circumstance. They make us think, because they are thoughts, and do things that are not conducive to our own spirituality. And the reason why our ego loves to do that, it's because the more we are identifying with our thoughts, the less we are inclined to embark upon a spiritual journey towards spiritual awakening, which is a remembrance of who you are, not your thoughts, not your mind, but a drop of source, God, the higher self, call it whatever you want, that chose to incarnate itself in this 3D world in order to experience everything it has to experience, in order for you to live the best life you can possibly live. But the problem with identifying with your thoughts is that you identify with a falsity. Because when you have a thought in your head and you identify with it, the best way for you to realize that you are not your thought is that when that thought leaves your head, you are still here. Where the thought went, you are not there. You don't know where it went, but you are not there, meaning that you are not your thoughts. And so it is very important to go from a state of mind, if you will, of this thought is me, to this is something attaching itself to my attention. And from that point, you can decide to act on that thought or not act. But the minute you realize that the thought is not you and is just something that attached itself to your attention, then it does not have a negative power over you. It cannot bring you down psychologically, mentally. It cannot destroy your mood because you know that all those thoughts are illusions. They are not real. They can be the impetus for you to act upon your life, provided that that thought is beneficial to you. But more often than not, the ego will not make you think good thoughts. And what is also funny is that, bear with me. What is also interesting, should I say, is that when your ego gives you a good thought, which for all intent and purposes is a good thought, because if you act upon it, then you will improve yourself, improve your life, right? The ego will also right away tell you that you will not be able to realize what you thought you could realize, that you will not be able to achieve what you thought you could achieve. And that is when you should tell the ego to be quiet. That is when you should tell the ego to stay the tool that it is, which is a brilliant tool that allows you to navigate this 3D world of ours, but the ego is in no way, shape, or form the master and you the slave. You are the master of your thoughts. You are the master of your ego. It's not the other way around. And also, when you have bad thoughts, you have to keep in mind that not every thought deserves belief. And that, as with people, I said before in my previous videos that people only have the power you give them. Thoughts only have the power of belief you give them. So it is entirely up to you to tell your thoughts that, first, you're not real. Second, you are not conducive to any kind of improvement of myself, of my life. Therefore, you can stay in my head if you want, but you will not be paid attention to anymore. You will not hold sway over me anymore. And you will see that the minute you do not give your thoughts attention, well, they will feel, the thoughts, let me personalize the thoughts, they will feel disregarded and they will go somewhere to sulk. They will go somewhere where you will not follow them. Because at the end of the day, thoughts have absolutely no power over you unless you give them a power to bring you down. So to recap this video and to put final bow, to tie a final bow on it, your mind is infested with parasites that are thoughts, but don't discard all of them because some of them are good thoughts. And when you choose to act upon a good thought that was brought about by your ego, tell your ego that it is the only thing it had to do. Because if you let your ego speak, it will try to discourage you from acting upon your thoughts. And that is not conducive to any kind of self-improvement. Remember that not every thought deserves belief. And remember that a thought doesn't define who you are. So go from the state of mind of this thought is me, this is me, to this is something, this thought is something that is attaching to my attention, but it is not me. I am myself. I am a drop of source. I am God, the higher self, source. Again, call it whatever you want. I am unconditional love.